This lesson is brought to you by Energized Math. It is on the difference between functions and relations. Everything that compares some sort of input to some sort of output is called a relationship. A function is just a special type of relationship. Here I can have a graph that compares my x values to my y values. That is a relationship. So is this one. You can have a table of values. That is a relationship. An equation where you have your x as your input, gives you a y value as your output. That is a relationship. Or you can have mapping where you have an input of x giving you an output of y. That is all relationships. All of these are different types of relationships. A function is just a special type of relationship. Okay? It is a relationship where every input gives you only one output. And the biggest question we can ask is, well, what type of relationships are not considered functions? So if we look at our first example, which is the table of values. Here I have x being my input. I have different outputs that come out. So 0 gives me 1. I have 1 giving me 3. I have 1 giving me 5. Here I have one input, which is 1, give me two different outputs. So I technically have the coordinate 1, 3 and also 1, 5. That by definition is not a function. It is a relationship, but it is not a function. A function is a relation where every input only gives me one output. Okay, let's look at some other examples. If I was to look at mapping. So here I have 0 giving me 4, I got 1 giving me 6, but I have an x value of 2 that gives me both an 8 and a 10. That is not a function. It's a relation because it does have your input given your output, but it is not a function. Here's another one. I have inputs of x, I get outputs of y, but here every input of x only gives me one output of y. So it is a function. There's again also a relation. They're all relationships where you have inputs and outputs, but it is also a function. Graphically, you can do something that's called the vertical line test to see if it is. If I draw a line going perfectly up and down on my graphs that represent any different x value, if it intersects my graph at more than one location, it is not a function. Still a relation, but not a function. Obviously, a vertical line going straight up and down will not be a function because here I have my one input being my x value and it's giving me multiple different y values all the way up and down. Same as this circle here. I draw vertical lines. It's intersecting more than one time, so it will not be a function. Still a relation, however. If I was to test some equations, I have to put in a different x value. Let's put it in x equals 3. Okay, and that's my input. Let's see how many outputs I get. So I do y equals 3 times 3 plus 1, which gives me 9 plus 1, which is a y value of 10. I have the coordinate 3, which is my input, output of 10. That is one output for one input. It is a function. If you take a look at your other one here, y equals the square root of x, and again let's put in x equals 9, for example. So y equals the square root of 9. Now the square root of 9, y will equal 3 or negative 3. Two values for the square root of 9. So it will not be a function. I have one input, give me two different outputs. It is not a function. Okay? So let's do a couple of questions here. Here, I want to know yes or no, is this a function? So again, I have a graph, so I'll do the vertical line test. Yes, it is a function because as I continue, I'm only intersecting the graph at one time. It is a function. Okay, it's also a relation. They're all going to be relations. Let's look at the table of values. Look at my inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all different inputs, and each input is only giving me one output. It will be a function as well. Here's a set of coordinates. Inputs being my x value, outputs being my y value. I have an input of 2, give me an output of 8. I also have another input of 2, same input, give me an output of 9. It will not be a function. Okay, the one input of 2 gives me two different outputs of 9. And again, if I look at an equation here, x squared plus y squared equals 25. If I was to put in, let's say x equals, let's do 9. No, let's do x equals 3. Okay, and I put it into my equation, I will have 3 squared plus y squared equals 25. I want to see how many y values I have. I need to get it by itself. So I'll have y squared equals 25 minus my 3 squared, which is 9. So y squared is going to equal 16 y is going to equal the square root of 16, which will be 4 or negative 4. So I had my one input of 3, and it gave me two different y values. Okay, so that is not a function. Definition of a function is a relation where only one input gives me one output. This is lessons brought to you by Energize Math. Please visit energizemath.com to download this note. Thank you very much.